In chapter 6, which is practical techniques in mental healings, Dr. Joseph explained the techniques, however, prayers are realized are answered. If our prayers are answered, there is a way in which it is answered, and this is a scientific way. Nothing happens by chance. Some of you might not be aware of the prayer, so first I will explain to you this and then techniques of realizing our prayers will be discussed. Prayer is the formulation of an idea concerning something we wish to accomplish. Prayer is the soul's sincere desire. Our desire is our prayer. It comes out of our deepest needs and it reveals the things we want in life. Now, the question is how to impregnate our subconscious with our deepest desires so that in actual life our prayer got answered. The answer is daydreaming. Daydreaming is calmly thinking over what we want, see into fuller fruition from this moment forward. Our subconscious mind will accept our blueprint, that is, what we repeatedly affirm. If we were building a new home for ourselves, we would be intensely interested in regard to the blueprint for our home. We would see to it that the builder informed to the design. We would select best material, in fact the best of everything. What about our mental home and our mental blueprint for happiness and abundance? All our experiences and everything that enters into our life depend upon the nature of mental building blocks, which we use in the construction of our mental home. If our mental blueprint is full of fear, worry, anxiety, or lack, and if we are despondent, doubtful, and cynical, then the texture of the mental material we are weaving into our mind will come forth as motile, tension, anxiety, and limitation of all kinds. Get a new blueprint, build silently by realizing peace, harmony, joy, and goodwill in the present moment. By dwelling upon these things and claiming them, your subconscious will accept your blueprint and brings all these things into our life. Dr. Joseph Murphy discussed some techniques through which our prayer will be answered. First is the visualization technique. The easiest and most obvious way to formulate an idea is to visualize it, to see it in your mind's eye in a way that is very clear, powerful, and detailed in your mind. What we form in our imagination is as real as any part of our body. The idea and thought are real and will one day appear in our objective world if we are faithful to our mental image. Dr. Joseph told his technique how he used the visualization technique prior to speaking to the audience. He said, I quiet the wheels of my mind in order that I may present to the subconscious mind my images of thought. Then I picture the entire auditorium and the seats filled with men and women. I see them as radiant, happy, and free. During imagination, I hear men and women saying, I am healed, I feel wonderful, I have had an instantaneous healing, I am transformed. I keep this up for about 10 minutes or more, knowing and feeling that each person's mind and body are saturated with love, wholeness, beauty, and perfection. Dr. Joseph expressed in joy that almost every Sunday some people stop and say that their prayers are answered. There is another method for realization of our prayers or desires, which is called mental movie method. Chinese says a picture is worth 1,000 words. The author narrated his story that a number of years ago, I was in the Middle West lecturing in several states and I desired to have a permanent location in the general area from which I could serve those who desired help. I traveled far, but the desire didn't leave my mind. One evening, while in hotel, I relaxed completely on a couch, immobilized my attention, and in a quiet, passive manner imagined that I was talking to a large audience, saying in effect, I am glad to be here. I saw in my mind the imaginary audience and I felt the reality it all. The next morning, I received a call asking me to take over an organization in the Midwest, which I did and I enjoyed it immensely for several years. This proves that a mental picture held in the mind, backed by faith, will come to pass. Charles Bardine was a professor and a brilliant psychotherapist who taught the best way to impress the subconscious mind was to enter into a drowsy, sleepy state or a state akin to sleep in which all the efforts was reduced to a minimum. Then, in a quiet, passive, receptive way, by reflection, he would convey the idea to the subconscious. Here is a story of a woman in Los Angeles who used this method to resolve a bitter family lawsuit. The matter is that her husband had committed his entire property to her after his death, but his sons and daughters by a previous marriage were bitterly fighting to break the will. The Bedouin technique were outlined to her and she did according to that. She relaxed her body in an armchair, entered into the sleepy state, and, as suggested, condensed the idea of her need into a phrase consisting of 6 words, easily graven on the memory. It is finished in divine order. She continued this procedure every night for about 10 nights. After she got into a sleepy state, she would affirm slowly, quietly, and feelingly the statement, "It is finished in divine order." Using this technique, a harmonious agreement was reached and litigation was discontinued. The conclusion of this chapter is that there are several mental techniques through which our desires are expressed or realized. If our prayer is answered, there is a way in which it is answered, and this is a scientific way. Nothing happens by chance. Our prayers must not remain up in the air like a balloon. They must go somewhere and accomplish something in our life if we believe in them. Thank you for watching.